So if you know me and this channel, then you'll probably know that I've got a pretty contentious relationship with the self-help industry and life coaches and things of that nature, which is pretty weird because I've got self-improvement channels. But I like to talk about the self-improvement industry and where I think some of the mistakes are, what I think are some of the problems with it, and life coaching is just one of those things that I will be honest, I really don't like. For a lot of reasons, I think that it is a scam to get involved with. And, you know, because I love validation, I look on the internet sometimes to find out what people also think about life coaching. Do other people think it's a scam, or do they think I'm wrong? And I saw one person that said on a response to like a Reddit thread, well, life coaching can't be a scam because it does some good. So, you know, if it does some good, it can't be a scam, right? So I'm going to talk to you about why that's not right. In fact, I'm going to talk to you about why that's very, very wrong and why that mindset is really dumb. Now, obviously, I have to qualify this by saying, you know, hashtag not all life coaches. I'm sure there are some life coaches who are great people, who have a desire to help, who are actually qualified for the role. And yeah, if that is you, then this video isn't about you. Don't even worry about it. This is about the vast majority of life coaches who I feel are doing themselves a disservice, their clients a disservice, and the entire self-improvement industry a disservice. So what this person basically said is that, well, life coaching can't possibly be a scam because it does some good, and if it does some good, then, you know, how can it be a scam? Okay, so let's apply that logic to something else. Let's try something like homeopathy, or acupuncture, or sound baths. All these things which are completely unproven by science. Some of them have been disproven by science. They don't work, but yet people still offer them as solutions to serious problems such as everything from depression to cancer. And you know what? Sometimes these alternative therapies, alternative medicines actually work. Except they don't. They don't actually work. Sometimes a person just recovers on their own, or sometimes the placebo effect kicks in and again they recover on their own. And yeah, it's something that happens time and time again, where someone will try an alternative medicine and then the sickness will go away and then later on it'll come back, because that's just the way that it happens sometimes. But it wasn't the medicine, the alternative therapy that made it go away the first time. It was just a coincidence. And you might be thinking, well, you know, actually in this case, the homeopathy, the acupuncture, the sound bath, it actually did some good, so it can't possibly be a scam, right? Well, no. There has got to be a better balance than that, than just because something does a little bit of good, you know, that we can ignore all the negative sides of it. For example, if you go and see an unqualified life coach because you have issues with serious anxiety and depression, they probably aren't going to be able to help you. And the chances are that they're actually going to do more damage than good because they have not been trained and they are not qualified to deal with issues of this level. So in that situation, the pros are going to be very, very small and the cons are going to be massive. If you switch that around though and go to a psychiatrist, a therapist, a counselor, someone who has been trained to deal with these situations, as long as you have found one that is right for you, which is what is so important, is to vet your counselor or your therapist to actually figure out if this is someone that you genuinely connect with, who you would feel comfortable opening up to and talking to. The pros are almost endless, and the cons, well, they're practically not there at all. So that's the first thing. Just because something does a little bit of good doesn't mean that it outweighs all the bad and all the harm that it does, or that it could potentially do. And I'm not saying that all life coaches cause massive amounts of harm. I'm saying that they have massive potential to cause harm because they're not trained and they're not qualified enough to do what it is that they want to be doing, that they purport to be doing. Secondly, life coaches are charging massive amounts of money, far more than counselors and therapists are, to deal with problems that aren't even problems. Like, why would you need to drop like $2,000 on a 3-month coaching package on goal setting or building a habit when you could literally read a book or watch a YouTube video on it? Like, you could watch a YouTube video on it for free and then just go and practice that. Like, you don't need to pay someone thousands of dollars to help you set some goals. Like, I could literally type into Google right now how to set a goal and I will be presented with something like 2 or 3 million results probably. Will all of them be super relevant? No, but maybe a good half of them will be. So they're charging thousands for an issue that maybe isn't even a real issue. And they always present coaching as something that you need to do to get to the next level. And you don't need coaching. You don't need it at all. And especially you don't need a coach that you have to pay thousands out of pocket for, because when they present these coaching packages to people who are maybe financially vulnerable and they're like, well, you buy this course and I'll teach you how to deal with your finances and how to become wealthy and rich and to own your own business and drive a Ferrari and whatnot, for the low price of $4,995, and you drop that money on a course or on a coaching package when you can't afford it. It happens all the time. Literally, just go and watch a random video on CoffeeZilla's channel about this. Like, it's mind-blowing how much coaches take advantage of vulnerable people. And yeah, there's going to be some advice that they're going to give that's probably going to be pretty good. Like, maybe the advice in the course or the coaching package is pretty good, but the fact that you dropped so much money on it that you could not afford makes it a scam. It makes it something that is not worth it to you, especially when all this knowledge is available for free. There is nothing that you need to know that you can't find out that isn't like 2 or 3 Google searches away. So again, just because the course or the coaching program might do a little bit of good, it doesn't steer away from the fact that these people were vulnerable and didn't have the money to drop that much on a coaching course or a coaching package, and now they're in a worse off situation. Doesn't matter how good the advice is, because they didn't qualify the client, they did not make sure that this was something they could afford, and now the person is in a worse state than ever before. And the third thing that I want to bring up is that life coaches feel like they can deal with issues that they are simply not qualified to deal with. I know this for a fact, that this is being taught in life coaching and NLP courses and courses of that nature, because I went to one a few years ago, and whilst some of the information that they gave was pretty good on how to help people, first of all, it did not qualify me to do that. I got a hypnotherapy qualification for doing a half-day workshop. Like, think of how crazy that is, that I could be considered technically a fully qualified hypnotherapist after having done no practical work with real clients, no placement, no nothing, for half a day of learning. But not only was I, after I did this course, qualified to help with serious mental health issues, which of course I was not qualified to do that. None of us were there. And this guy is running like courses that are teaching like hundreds of people a year, and is just one of many dozens of schools around the UK, let alone in the world, that are teaching the exact same course curriculum. And one of the things that we were being taught in this course is that of course you could use NLP to deal with serious medical conditions. This guy claimed that he had helped people who had been suffering with cancer to go into remission. He claimed to have cured one girl of her asthma by adjusting a mental and emotional block. Like, we were being told that we could do pretty much anything, that we could deal with pretty much anything, and we just weren't qualified to do that. Like, if one of these people went and helped someone who was suffering with cancer and said, well, I've used the NLP, that cancer will be fading away in absolutely no time, this person goes off their meds and dies. What? That's mental that could happen. That's crazy that could happen. Most life coaches are not qualified to help you, like, pick up your kids from school, let alone deal with serious problems to do with your mental health, your emotional health, or any interaction of the two. They are not qualified, the industry is not regulated, there is nothing to stop anyone from just calling themselves a life coach after taking a $7 course from a Facebook ad that they saw. Most of the life coaches that I have met are people who really just want to give people advice on how to run their lives, which isn't what coaching is even supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about guidance and helping someone find the answer for themselves. There are certain stuff that life coaches and NLP practitioners and people like that do that if they did in a regulated industry like, you know, therapy or counseling, they'd be struck off because it's unethical, it's not backed by any peer-reviewed science, it's not got an evidence base behind it, it's all based on whatever whim and fancy comes to them and whatever their guru taught them, what book they're reading this week. What a lot of life coaches fail to understand is that this is people's lives that you're dealing with. You have to take it seriously, you have to be trained, and you have to be qualified. It's not enough to go and take a Udemy course in it for £10 and think, yeah, this will do. Let me start pulling in clients and seeing if I can help them with like anxiety and depression and that. It's not the way that it works, and people can get hurt by this. Just because it might temporarily help someone to achieve a goal or create their habits doesn't mean that this completely erases all the harm that can be done by untrained people dealing with problems that they have absolutely no business dealing with. And a final point for the whole, you know, life coaching can't be a scam because it does some good. Yeah, people who are in pyramid schemes and MLMs think exactly the same thing. So do I think life coaching is a scam? Like in the technical sense of the word, I could probably back that up. But in the loosest sense, oh, absolutely. There is very, very few life coaches who are actually qualified to deal with problems. I mean, qualified in terms of, you know, academic qualifications and genuine experience in client-based, person-centered helping approaches. So it doesn't matter if it does some good to some people, if it does harm to the rest of them. That's not the way that this should work, and for that reason, I'm out. So I hope you have found this video useful. I'll be honest, I do enjoy railing against the whole self-help industry a little bit. That's a lie. I enjoy it a lot because I think it's an industry that causes more problems than it creates solutions for. I mean, self-help as an industry is literally there to make money off of pretending to solve people's problems. It's one of the reasons that I make these videos, and one of my goals is eventually to try and reform and maybe even create some regulation to, at the very least, the industry of coaching, because I feel like coaching could be so useful and helpful to people if it wasn't an industry where you could literally get into it by taking like a $7 course on Facebook. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. It should be similarly qualified to something like counseling or therapy. It's not something that you should be able to jump into after a weekend of training on a whim. That's not it. That ain't it, chief. But anyway, that's enough of me rambling about this for now. I'm going to make more videos on subjects like this in the future, so if this is what you like, if you want to know more about this or confidence or life advice for the average Joe, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. New videos coming out every single day. Yeah, subscribe, like, comment, share, notification bells, all that jazz, and look forward to seeing you in future videos here on this channel very soon.